Action cinema has been one of the key genres for Hong Kong cinematography, known as Asian Hollywood, to fill neighborhood cinemas and video stores in the West for several decades. Bruce Lee was one of the main figures who allowed many enthusiasts to delve deeper into martial arts, its philosophy in Asian cinema itself. It was only a matter of time before someone dedicated a movie to the Little Dragon's master. Thus was probably born the most important martial arts film saga of the last decade, the one dedicated to Ip Man, master of Wing Chun, whom we have followed in 4 films starring Donnie Yen. The beginnings of the saga go back to an earlier time. Since the late 90s, the idea of making a film dedicated to the Sifu Ip Man was already being considered. Initially, Corey Yuen was going to be the director and Donnie Yen had been hired to play the character. Donnie Yen himself mentioned in an interview that he received an advance for the work, but the project was forgotten. There he would remain until, almost a decade later, in 2007, producer Raymond Wong announced his project to bring the life of the martial arts master to film, with Wilson Yip as director and, again, Donnie Yen as the protagonist. Both had collaborated on several occasions on important titles such as SPL, Dragon Tiger Gate and Flash Point, so the combination promised a lot. Yen, like his idolized Bruce Lee, grew up in the United States, in his case in the city of Boston, where he moved with his parents, a Tai Chi grandmaster, from whom he would learn martial arts, and a newspaper editor. The action movie star, at a key moment in his career, saw the project as a turning point and dedicated a lot of effort to preparing for the role. For this reason, Donnie Yen lost a few kilos to better play the character, which required focusing on technique and not strength, in addition to spending 9 months perfecting the martial art, of which he barely knew the basic movements. During the presentation of the film, Yen recalled that in his filmography there was Wing Chun, directed by Yuan Wu-ping, although it did not actually contain martial art movements. When he received the role of Ip Man, Yen was working on 2 other films, An Empress and the Warriors, and Painted Skin, and was traveling from hotel to hotel with his wooden dummy for practice. I was excited to explore different aspects of their characters, finding here a more introspective and serious role. The Ip Man saga represented a new challenge in his career, since Ip Man's presence is more that of a scholar than that of a warrior, a man focused on reflection and not heroic action. The challenge was to combine this on screen, to create a great show while respecting the character of the maestro. The film would have the approval of Ip Chun, Ip Man's eldest son, who will appear in the different installments as a character, like his brother Ip Ching, also a consultant on the saga. The family portrait is an integral part of the scripts, reflecting not only the dream of expanding the style in martial arts, but also the daily life of the master. Family relationships and financial problems in the context of each historical moment are intertwined with the effort to balance life at home and his dedication to the martial art. His wife, Chung Wing-sing, played by Xiong Dai-lin, is an important character who influences many of the teacher's decisions, either by making him reflect or supporting his decisions. Donnie Yen took a trip to the city of Foshan with Ip Chun to try to capture the spirit of that life in the 1940s. The first film in the saga, Ip Man, 2008, tells the life of the martial artist during times of war. At the beginning of the film, the teacher's wealthy life in Foshan is shown, as he grew up in an important family in the city. Everything would change drastically with the arrival of the Japanese army in 1938, which devastated 2/3 of the population. In fact, Ip Man's house, as the film explains, would be confiscated and converted into the headquarters of the Japanese army. Difficult times were beginning for his family, who like everyone else, would fight to survive. Thus, we go from the fights with the city's teachers or the traveling fighters, as the film shows, to the fight for the honor, not only of the city, but of the entire country. The film depicts the teacher making a living working with coal and struggling to get food. Everything will change with the arrival of a Japanese officer passionate about fighting. This iconic scene from the film has as a direct reference Fist of Fury, 1972, the Bruce Lee classic in which he plays Chen Zhen, facing an entire platoon of Japanese karatekas, similar to Donnie Yen. Although the tone is different, the conflict is very similar. Curiously, Yen had already played Chen Zhen in a television series and would do so again in a new version in 2010. The action direction was carried out by Sammo Hung, director of a Wing Chun classic like Prodigal Son. This allowed Donnie Yen to concentrate on the characterization of the character without having to prepare the choreographies, relying on the experience of a teacher of the stature of Sammo Hung. Sammo Hung would continue in charge of the action in the second part, Ip Man 2, 2010, in which he would also reserve an important role. The story tells of the teacher's trip to Hong Kong, a new beginning that would be complicated at first. The difficulty of opening a school to teach Wing Chun was finding students. Once he gets them, they soon get into trouble with a local boss played by Sammo. The big scene of the film is the unforgettable fight between his character and Yen's on a large round table, the fight between two masters and the union of two generations of Hong Kong martial arts cinema. However, the final confrontation will be with a British boxer, returning to the figure of the foreign demon and the fight for respect for martial arts and the Chinese nation. The gift arrives in the last scene of the film, with the appearance at school of a boy of character, Li Xiaolong, Bruce Lee. Although the first two parts of the saga included a small epilogue at the end, explaining the character's future, a third installment arrived. Dragon Master, Ip Man 3, premiered on Christmas 2015, focusing on family drama. His wife's illness becomes the great concern of the character, who we will see spend much of his time taking care of her. Along the way, he faces two enemies, following the structure of the previous films. On the one hand, a local master who appears to be an ordinary man but in reality has great talent for martial arts, especially Wing Chun. Their children will join the paths of Ip Man and Sum Nung, in the film, Chung Tin-chi, another real character played by Zhang Jin, or Max Zhang. The choice of the other opponent was much more surprising. The film needed a presence capable of rivaling Yen's on screen, and the producers looked for a real fighter, but of a different type and from another time. Former boxing champion Mike Tyson plays Frank, a businessman with dark connections who will inevitably encounter IP Man. The fight is inevitable and is as spectacular as expected. However, one of the most memorable scenes of the film is the fight in an elevator between Yen's character and a Thai hitman played by Thai specialist Sarit Kanwilai. Even so, the final battle with different weapons between the two Wing Chun masters is also not short on intensity and emotion.
I'm with my man Mike here.
All day.
Every day.
The award home. We're going home.
Yeah.
It Man 3. Groundbreaking.
Yeah.
Awesome. It Man 3.
Fans asked for closure for the saga, which came with the fourth installment, Ip Man, The End. Yen puts himself in the shoes of the character for the last time, with a trip to the United States, where the character of Bruce Lee takes on greater prominence. The family once again serves as the common thread, with the teacher looking for an institute in California for his youngest son, a place on which to focus his life. During this trip, an American soldier played by Scott Adkins will appear, who will offer us a life or death battle. As happened with Bruce Lee's career after his death, the success of the Ip Man saga has expanded through several titles, including spin-offs and films that have taken advantage of its success with different stories based on the same character. Herman Yao, an experienced Hong Kong filmmaker, released Ip Man, La Leyenda, The Legend is Born, Ip Man, in 2010, just a couple of months after the premiere of the second installment of the saga by Wilson Yip and Donnie Yen. The film, with Dennis To playing the master, focused on the character's youth and his learning of martial arts, being sold internationally as a third part of the original saga, although it had no direct relationship, beyond narrating the character's life. And the presence of Sammo Hung, playing IP Man Sifu. Herman Yao returned to the character in 2013 with Ip Man, Final Fight, this time with veteran Anthony Wong playing the teacher from his arrival in Hong Kong until his death in 1972. Although there is no lack of action, The greatest attraction of the film is discovering the side of the teacher's life that does not address the saga of Donnie Yen, such as his life after the death of his wife and his relationship with a singer from Shanghai. The story is narrated in voiceover by his son IP Chun, who also appears in a cameo. Within this IP exploitation, we undoubtedly highlight the Grandmaster, where Wong Kar-wai ventures into martial arts with his poetic style and wonderful aesthetics, taken care of down to the smallest detail. The infallible Tony Leung takes the lead role, with Korean actress Song Hye-kyo playing his wife and Zhang Zi as a master of northern Chinese techniques. This gem of cinema has 3 different productions, something that is not surprising coming from the director of The Eternal Sunglasses, and after being presented at the 2013 Berlinale, it remains the director's latest title. That same year, Ip Man appeared on Chinese television in a series with Kevin Cheng as the protagonist. We jump to 2019, when Michael Tong puts himself in the shoes of the teacher in Ip Man and Four Kings, trying to recover the aesthetics of Wong Kar-wai's film.
英国人占我国土，欺我同胞，你们俩该知道。
The Ip Man universe officially returned in 2018 with Master Z, The Ip Man Legacy, a spin-off that follows in the footsteps of Master Chung Tin-chi after the final fight scene in Ip Man 3. This martial arts spectacle features a great cast, including the return of Max Zhang in the title role, accompanied by Michelle Yeoh, Tony Jaa and Dave Bautista. The quality of the action scenes made up for the lack of originality in the story. Chinese cinema has significantly increased the presence of Ip Man in various productions over the years. There is no doubt that we will soon see Bruce Lee's teacher again on the big screen, although this time it will not be with the face of Donnie Yen. As martial arts stories continue to captivate audiences, new facets of IP Man's life are likely to be explored, allowing other actors to bring the legendary master to life. IP Man's legacy has left an indelible mark on film culture, and his influence extends beyond the original films. Upcoming productions could focus on different stages of his life, his impact on the development of martial arts, or even his relationship with other great masters of the time. Thus, the Ip Man universe will continue to grow and evolve, providing new stories and perspectives that will keep the fascination with this iconic character alive.